Welcome to Dollars, Lifestyle, and Charity, a finance podcast for gamers. Romans and I are both money guys, but we're also gamers, so we wanted to put this pod together to help gamers like us with some of their tough money topics that can sometimes feel as hard as a Souls boss.
We're talking budgeting, saving, paying off debt, and how to not fall for all the traps life throws at you.
Grab a health potion and let's start stacking gold IRL. This is DLC, a finance podcast for gamers. Welcome to Dollars, Lifestyle, and Charity, a finance podcast for gamers. I'm Scruffy and this is Romans, and we're here to talk to you a little bit about some finance. Not here to give you any of those boring finance lectures you can find on some YouTube channels, but real practical advice that you can relate to. Romans and I are both gamers, but we're also finance people, so we have a lot of experience and are here to give some of our expertise to you.
Nice. So excited to be here. Can't wait to see what we do in this episode. This is our first episode, so no matter what we do, it's going to be embarrassing. And when we look back a year, 5 years, even longer, we're going to die and cringe our way. So let's get at it.
Oh, yeah. Excellent. Well, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to be talking about mana management IRL, also known as budgeting. We all make money, we all spend money, and really what is incredibly important is how you manage that. It's really easy to look at budgeting as like some big task that's really difficult to conquer. But once you break it down into smaller, understandable pieces, it's actually pretty easy. And once you get used to it, it just becomes second nature and part of your habit.
Yeah. It's all about finding real routines and not just following some kind of boring script. You have to actually enjoy the process or you'll completely fall off. So hopefully we can give you some kind of tips coming up that you'll actually apply and live every day.
Absolutely. I know for me, when I first got started budgeting, it was really difficult because I just didn't know anything and it seemed like a pretty big task. But like Romans was just saying, once you break it down and start doing it, just starting is half the battle because really can feel like a Souls boss at times. But once you actually sit down to start crunching at it, you really start to see some progress. So to get started, we wanted to talk a little bit about some basic budgeting hacks we have. To start off, actually, I also wanted to mention that Romans and I put our heads together and actually put together a Google Sheet to help people with budgeting. If you've never done anything before, this is a great tool to just get started, get some things on paper, and start tracking it. So, the first thing that I wanted to talk about is when you're starting to budget, give yourself some grace. There's going to be a learning curve, and don't start really being hard on yourself, especially during the first month. I would recommend to not even try to plan out exactly what you're going to be spending the first month. I would just take a step back and track where all your money goes because you can't plan for what you don't know. So taking a step back, looking at just where your money's going to go, that'll really help. And how I personally do that and what I would advise all of you to do is just take 10, 15 minutes weekly. I personally like to do it on my Friday. So what I'll do is I'll go through, look at my debit card, credit card report, look at the expenses, and start tracking them. We have two different budget templates. One for someone who's maybe never done budgeting before and doesn't really know how to budget, what categories to put things in. We also have one for people who are a little bit more experienced, know what different categories to put your money into. But we have both of them available so that you can go ahead and get started. So take that time every week to check in, track all of your expenses, and at the end of the month, you'll get to see exactly where your money went. And that will really help you for the next month when you can actually start planning. Not only reacting to where your money is going, but actually planning where you want to spend your money and start saving and accomplishing some of the financial goals that you have.
Yep, I love it. I love it. I think we probably, maybe in post edit, we could probably include the budget or whatnot, but it helps to actually see. You're describing it, makes total sense. Sometimes you have to
Yeah.
see it. I'm a more visual person. So,
Yeah, so we can cut
totally.
away to showing the budget and different different categories and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe in future episodes we'll be smarter to have a scene for that. Because had we we could have planned that and hit. I could click the button and shown your budget. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Whoopsies. First episode cringe moment right there.
Oh yeah.
Let's do it. Okay. Well, yeah. That sounds great. And I'm glad you put together that spreadsheet. It looks really good. I think for first time people, it's definitely a great step in the right direction. I wish I had it when I was young and broke. It would have been super helpful.
So every week I will have some planned hacks. So today I was talking a little bit about, the monthly budget, being easy on yourself, tracking. I have a couple others, but also every week Romans is going to come up with something that he has not prefaced me at all on, some sort of something that he does on whatever topic we're talking about. So Romans, what do you have for me today?
Actually, it's another blooper. It is actually has nothing to do with what you're talking about. I just want to throw
Okay.
something from left field, maybe in the gamer budgeting space, and I wanted to get your take on it. But the topic I wanted to bring up was Grand Theft Auto 6. Did you see the trailer yesterday? Did you watch it?
I saw that it dropped. I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet.
Oh my gosh. Let me tell you, that game is going to rock this planet. It looks phenomenal. I cannot believe how it's basically a movie from what I saw. And I don't
I saw the first trailer and I like was pretty blown away because it looked real. And the funniest part, you and I were both in Florida, and all of the Florida Man news articles that they showed in the first trailer, I was like, oh, I remember when that actually happened.
Yeah, it's one of those things where uh I think that game's gonna blow up the entire cultural scene. I have a feeling that this game it's one of those moments where it's gonna be secular, it's gonna be violent, it's gonna be
Mhm.
pretty brutal, but it's one of those things that if the Christian world can't find a way to redeem it or be involved, it's literally this big cultural shift that's happening
Yeah.
without our input. So that's the only reason why I pay attention to it. Obviously, it's going to have a lot of themes that are not safe for work, not safe for children. But all I can think about is how they've spent over 10 years on this game, and it's probably going to be a masterpiece, some kind of classic. And
Hmm.
we have to find a way to make it relevant. And there's going to be all kinds of money hacks in it because at the end of the day, it's a financial management game if you really pay attention to it. The last one it's literally every game is about how to run an empire, just more in
Yeah.
unsavory tones. So there you go. There's your budgeting hack for you. If you really want to make it big, they're illegal means, but you're gonna have to really jeopardize a lot of mental anguish to go down that road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
possibly. It's interesting. I'm interested to see what the actual price tag is going to be for GTA because man, I it's been interesting to see the like outrage people have been having with like the
Oh,
Nintendo games being 80 and $70. And then meanwhile we have games like Space Marine 2, Expedition 33, which are more like double A studios that are releasing games in like the 40, $50 range that are actually really big, successful games. Like Clair Obscur, I saw, or Expedition 23, I should say, just posted that they had already sold 2 million copies
yeah.
in like less than 2 weeks of it being released. So I think that also could be a pretty big shift in like the gaming world because I think we'll probably start to see a lot more double A studios producing really big quality games in the space that'll really compete for some of these AAA games that have been producing flops. Because I don't know if you played the new Assassin's Creed at all, Romans. I haven't either, but I know a couple people who have played it, and they said it was really, really not that great. Didn't like it. But like some of these triple or double A games have been, the quality is pretty astonishing.
Oh, I actually think we're in an era of being an indie developer. I think we're in
Yeah.
this perfect little bubble where it is a great time to be an indie guy. From Power World to Schedule One. And Schedule One also is another unsavory game. But at the end of the day, it's probably one guy developed it. I think it made like $20 million in the first week or something like that.
That's
Yeah,
impressive.
it's a great time to be indie developer for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out since we're actually going to get a big quality game from a AAA studio to see kind of like what that difference looks like.
Yeah, and they spent 10 years.
Yeah, yeah, they're not just gonna spend 10 years releasing a crappy product. There's no way they'd get away with that.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I agree. So, getting into that, I wanted to take some time a little bit to talk about why we decided to start this podcast, a little bit about who we
Mm.
are, and why anyone should even listen to us at all about any of these topics. So, Romans, what brings you to the podcast?
It's just a general desire. I see a lot of folks in this space are just completely going it alone, just flying by the seat of their pants. Some of them are getting some great sponsorship deals, $1,000, $500, a couple $100, maybe even more than that. And there's no plan of action. They might see it, and maybe what they'll do is you know what? I made enough to survive this month. I don't need to stream. And they'll go on a 2 week break. I think a classic example is a subathon. They'll go on a subathon and they'll stream for 2 weeks straight, nonstop, probably raise an entire month, and then go on break for 2 weeks or longer. And if you had some kind of plan, you would know that in the streaming space specifically, the money goes up and down. And just because it's up doesn't mean you can actually take a break. That's actually the time you should press on and keep going, and keep riding that wave and keep pushing, because the down is coming. And if you force it and take a break and then the down comes, now you're double, just hyperbole. You're double worse off than where you were, and then you'll go through this negative turn, and everything's momentum and hype, and you squandered it. You see it time and time again, whether it's a sick game release or they go viral in a video. My heart is for the content creation world, and I just see this as another ways to reach them, to give them some type of knowledge, to help them, if they're not aware. If you're willfully making these decisions and you have great budgeting skills, I think that's a whole other level of problem. I'm trying to reach those who just have no idea. Like, man, I didn't even know I should really think of this from a more strategic standpoint versus just what's in my bank account. Because I think it's a beginner level, tutorial level, level zero, level one to just operate what's in
Hmm.
my bank account. I think to be more strategic, have a goal, have an annual revenue line item, having goals of what's it going to take to pay for an editor so that you're not editing their content, things like that. I think that all those are reasons why I'm here today. So, and a little bit, I think there's a little bit about myself. I'm actually an accountant. I'm a business guy. I own a bunch of businesses, sold a couple. Maybe we'll save that story for another day. So, running a business is something I naturally do, and so here I am, just offering it just to the winds, to anyone who might hear it, to level up.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. And I think something important in there is for you content creators, you streamers, you may not necessarily think of your stream as a business, but it truly is. And I know a lot of people, that have gotten into streaming or video game content creation or just content creation in general because they didn't want to be in the business world. But the reality is, you're actually more in the business world than if you just had a 9 to 5 job. So it's really important to get some of these basic skills to really implement, to be in a place where you can continue to grow your stream, grow your platform, and make it something that you can do long term. That's not just going to be something you did for a couple of years out of college. This is something to try to actually work towards creating something that'll serve you and last for a while.
Super awesome. Yeah. So what? So tell us, what skills are you bringing to the table?
Yeah, so I actually, similar to Romans, I am a finance guy. I would work my 9 to 5 is I'm a financial advisor, so I help people with financial planning, investing, retirement planning, all that different sort of thing, really coming at it from a biblical perspective. My company is a Christian company, so not only do I have the financial knowledge from my education and schooling, but I also do come at it from a Christian perspective. Romans and I, the way we actually met each other was through an organization that he started, Reach. We met each other at the first Reach conference last year, which was a ton of fun. I had no idea that this space was even a thing, that the Christian content creator space was a thing. And I started getting to know some people. Romans and I connected, and we really felt like there was a values cross for both of us because I really have a passion for helping people and help people get to a place where they can be confident in their finances and really set up for success in the future. So, as we were talking, we started putting some stuff together to help level up the different content creators at Reach. And as we were talking, we really thought that a podcast might be a great tool to reach more and more people, whether you're part of the Reach community or not. We're here to help and give you any advice, any wisdom we have.
Nice. Yeah, we are. Let's do this. Reach Conference 2025, November 6th, 7, and 8, here in Orlando, Florida. ReachConf.org. Check the notes, click the link, buy the tickets, and we'll see you there.
Oh, yeah.
Hashtag
It'll
ad.
be great. Excellent. Sweet. Well, as our podcast grows, we'll be continuing to get different questions from you, our audience. So there's a couple of different ways that you can submit questions. First, you can reach out to me on Discord. I'm going to put a link to my Discord account in the show notes here. If you wanted to search me up, I'm Who's Scruffy Looking pretty much everywhere on Discord. I'll also post a link to my email. I may have to dox myself there, but that's okay. So if you have a question for the podcast, you can email me, shoot me a message on Discord, or if you're in the Reach server, feel free to stop by the Gold and Loot server chat and put questions there. We'll be taking some questions from there. We do already have some questions from previous Financial Fridays, which is a short little thing we do on the Reach server where people can ask questions about different things that are bugging them about their finances, their budgeting, whatever it is. So, yeah, we're looking forward to answering some more of your questions. For today, we'll be covering some different questions that people have been asking about budgeting.
Nice.
So, go ahead, Romans.
No, I can't wait to see what crazy questions are coming. I don't actually know the questions. I just know that whatever is going to be said, that I'm going to give you some kind of crazy way of answering it, unless it's too obvious. And yes, on the side, I've been just solving a Rubik's Cube on the side, just for added difficulty. Can I keep the conversation going while solving a Rubik's Cube? That's what I was answering myself right now.
We'll need to upgrade the Rubik's Cube as we go along. So next time you'll have a 4x4 and then a 5x5 and see how many episodes it takes you to actually solve them.
Wow. Yeah, my brain will explode.
Expanding your knowledge. Let's
Yes.
do it. Great. So first question that we had gotten was we just recently released our budgeting software, and like I mentioned, or it's not software, it's a Google Sheet, but that's software. So you can go ahead and look at that in the show notes. But someone had a question: what do I do if I have a credit card and am using that for all of my transactions? How do I still use the budget? Do I keep all of the administrative transactions when I pay off my card every month? How do I do that? So, Romans, you want to take that first?
Yeah. So, wait, I don't remember the question. What was it again? I thought you were just gonna answer it.
I okay. The question
That
was,
was a really long
what do
one.
I what do I do if I have a credit card and am paying that off every month? Do I have to keep track of all those in administrative transactions? Is that any different from having a debit card?
Wow. Are we talking in a budget? I
Yeah,
guess
in the budget.
I'm too simple. I wouldn't track it. I would just put
Yeah.
it in other and call it a day. But other people, how would you answer it? I still think you should answer it. I'm too simple.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Oh,
bother.
I'm planning on answering. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, What I would say is any administrative expenses, I don't keep track of in the budget unless it's something that you haven't already planned. If you're just doing your monthly pay off my credit card bill, you've already tracked all of those expenses in your budget, so you don't need to add an additional track there. On a similar note, something that I could also see coming up is what about when you're paying someone back? Like if you go out to dinner or for a round of golf or whatever, and are going to be splitting a bill. So you're going to be paying and then you get reimbursed. Do I track the whole thing? Do I track just what I spent? I say keep it as simple as you can. I only track what I'm going to be spending. Or if you're buying something for someone and then being reimbursed, I don't track both of those transactions. If I'm buying something and then I know I'm going to be reimbursed the same amount, I just ignore those transactions because you don't want to make it need your budget needlessly complicated. The you're already going to have a lot of transactions in your budget, so adding a bunch of unnecessary administrative transactions can just make things really, really complicated.
I think I'd add there that I'm a big stroke kind of guy. So unless I have to track the details, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Some people love it though. There's a lot of folks who love detail. I just think when you have to do it 12 times a year or every week, detail actually increases the difficulty. So if it adds value to how you spend money, then I think it go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's another good thing to bring up is there's no one specific right way to budget. The best way for you to budget is a way that you'll be able to do consistently. So just get started and see what works for you. This is why we have the two different sheets, one for more simplified, one for more complex. You can find whatever works for you. Like I said, I like to do the weekly check-ins. I know some people that like to do it every couple of days, that they're really, really specific. They can't relax unless they know their budget is complete. That's how they de-stress for some reason. Uh, that's not me, but find a way that will work for you so that you can do it consistently in a way that is not going to create a bunch of stress for you. Your budget is not necessarily, it's not supposed to cause you stress. It's actually supposed to give you freedom because one of the nice things about having a budget is when you know how much money is in your budget, you don't have to feel guilty for going out and buying that game, getting DoorDash for your dinner or something like that. You can actually have those things budgeted and it gives you permission to spend your money because you earned your money and you don't ever have to be weighed down by, oh, I shouldn't have spent that. But no, you budgeted for it, you planned for it. This was the plan. So go ahead and feel free.
Yep. I think it's also tough when your budget is not the happiest to look at. I think when
Yeah.
you say it's not stressful, but it kind of true, it alleviates you and frees you. But when you see numbers you don't want to see, I think that's where the stressors kicks in. But that's the beauty of a budget. How do you? Something I always say is, how do you beat your high score when you don't know what your high score is? So
Mm,
the harsh reality of a budget, it might be a low number. You're not happy with it. Maybe your margins are really tight. Maybe it's upside down. You're negative, and you're actually accruing credit card debt every month, and that's why you don't look at it. But if you can't look at it and just simply stop the bleeding and start moving forward, you're only unconsciously digging your own grave. You're getting deeper and deeper away from financial freedom. And for me, financial freedom is literally having zero credit card debt. It's probably something like when we're talking budgeting for me, when if you owe the credit card company anything at all, I think the interest rates are what 18 or 25. I don't even know what it is, but it's something over 20% or anything over. I'd say inflation is brutal. If it's
yeah.
costing you debt, if it's investments, it's a different conversation. But so I'll just encourage those. I think we all were there sometime when I remember when
Hmm.
my budget was really bad and it was tough to look at. But if anything, it's like a video game. You gotta stare at it and then you gotta beat it. It's like Elden Ring. You might die a bunch of times, but if you just keep trying, you'll get it. So
Yeah. I remember when I first got started as a financial advisor, I actually started owing money instead of making money. I owed money at the end of the month just for my own paycheck. But like Romans is saying, it gave me something to shoot for. It gave me, I know I needed to make this amount of dollars before I started making progress. So it can be really tough. We've all been there. Romans and I have both experienced it. But building that discipline now will really help you know exactly what to work for and where you're going.
Nice. Ready for the next question, boss.
Excellent. Next question is, let me see here. I just lost it. Give me just a sec, Romans. I lost it.
Let's go! First episode shenanigans
Yeah.
continues. Yes. Oh,
Boy.
it's so good. So good. Oh my gosh. You know, I was told a statistic that 90% of podcasts die before the 10th episode.
Really?
So we'll have to do something special if we make it to 10 episodes deep. 10
Yeah,
published episodes. So who knows if this will even make it to the air? Maybe we'll throw this away.
we could. Yeah.
Um,
We'll see. Um, oh, I didn't have other questions.
okay.
Uh,
All right. We
let's
had
see.
one question this week.
Okay. Do you want to come up with another question or no?
That's so funny. I almost want to keep that in. I hope this doesn't get edited out because I think that's such a classic blooper. Oh God, it's so good. Oh
We
man,
have one
I'm
question.
loving it. I'm loving. I'm just relishing the moment of how bad we are at this. This is so good.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I don't know if I want to ask another question. I think we just move on and close this baby. I think for the first
Great.
episode, value is in just actually completing an episode from beginning to end.
Yeah.
So yeah, how long's this podcast been going? It has been going 26 minutes. That is really short, but not
That
that
is really
bad.
short.
Not that bad for a
No.
first episode. Like, you know, it's in the can. Um, I I don't think so. I think we have more future episodes to go. No, don't risk it. We can. We have questions in the Discord. We probably just needed to queue some up that people
Yeah.
asked. There's actually one in there. I recall because I was like, oh, that's an interesting question. We should put that. Let's see. I think it was Illumi who asked it. What was her
Oh, the
question?
tax question a little while ago.
Yeah, it was a fresh one. She just asked him, like, oh, that's so cool. Perfect timing. See if we could find it. Mm-mm.
Self-employment tax filing. Do you use H&R Block file?
Oh,
Do
yeah, go
something
for it. Yeah, do it.
manually?
So, yeah, do you see it?
Yeah, I see
Yeah,
that.
okay.
That's not really on the budgeting topic, but
Oh,
do
it
we?
isn't budgeting. Oh, I see what you're saying. I don't know. I think that's the other question. We're gonna get questions that don't fit the episode. Um,
That's true.
I don't know what you're gonna do about that, but I think it'll naturally happen. Imagine if we have speakers or questions coming in, people will just ask what's on their mind.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
yeah.
Okay, sweet. Okay, I'll go ahead with that. All right, next question. Someone who had some questions as we're coming to the end of tax season a little bit ago. Uh, the person was asking a question if they were, because we were in the hurricane zone, they got an extension done, and they were wondering what to use to file your self-employment tax filing because they were a streamer. They wanted to know if they use an H&R Block or someone to file it for them, if they use software to do it manually. So, Romans, I know I have an answer, but you are actually, this is what you do. So, I'd love you to answer it, and then I can
Oh
put in my two
man,
cents if I do
classic.
personal too.
So yeah, I don't do personal taxes anymore, mostly because I found out I don't enjoy it. But what I would say here is software is getting really nice, and there's lots of rules where you can get free tax filing assistance. So I would, in the eyes of someone new at this, I have but they're tech savvy, right? They know how to get their
Mhm.
computer to work and play all these games and mod. If you can mod a video game, you have the ability to do your own taxes at least in the beginning stages. And
Hmm.
you can use software. I don't like mentioning their names, but you can use the various famous tax preparer programs that exist out there. You can say their name if you want. It's a personal axe to grind. I think those guys actually charge too much compared
Yeah.
to actual CPAs and tax preparers. It's surprising how people think there's a deal, but there's no deal. They charge more. So that's kind of why I don't like to say their names. You'll have to pay me to say your name, and then I'm gonna donate that money to charity. Um, but yeah, so I'd say use the software. If you can mod a video game, you definitely can do your own taxes.
Yeah.
What do you say?
No, I definitely do the same thing actually because I'm self-employed as well, so I'm very familiar with this process. I use a software that's pretty inexpensive. The one I've used is only $50 per year, which for me is pretty reasonable. But the reason I like it is it walks me through every single step of my Schedule C and explains to me what I need to do, like what are my expenses, what are business expenses. So for a content creator, a streamer, if you are buying a game that you're going to play on stream, that is a business expense. If you are buying a skin for a drop for a game that you're playing because it's content for your stream, that's also a business expense. So these softwares will sometimes have you walk through with you for these different expenses so that it'll help you be able to do more than just say, this is what I made on stream, this is my, self-employment income. It'll actually walk you through those different steps to help apply those business expenses to your income so you don't have to pay as many taxes.
Wow, cool, awesome.
Yeah, something important to deal with. Taxes, everybody hates it, everybody's got to pay them. But there are some ways that you can take advantage of different software to lower your tax burden.
Yep. Work smarter, not harder. With AI, especially around, there's just a lot of minutia that AI can do really well. I can't wait for the day where you just submit your things and AI can just do your taxes for you. I think
Yeah.
for most people that's doable. I think there's so many tax loopholes, tax laws change every year. So I wouldn't
Hmm.
necessarily trust technology to know every single strat that exists out there. But probably like 80% of taxpayers, probably some number like that, 70%, could get away with it being. And I think the old joke is the IRS knows how much you owe. It's your job to guess how much they think you owe. I love I love that meme that the IRS actually
Oh, yeah.
knows how much you should be paying, but
Hmm.
they won't tell you. Which
Oh,
also bleeds into your budget. You want to bring this into the budget. I think a lot of folks forget taxes are a part of the budget.
yeah.
I know a lot of major streamers, their first year in, whether they made a lot or not, they completely forgot about the IRS equation. And knowing
Yeah.
about the self employment tax that you have to pay if you live in a state that has state income tax, like
Yeah.
states like California and other states where they just like to tax it at the state level, it's dramatic. It's not just the 10 to 15% that the IRS wants, it can be an additional 10% that your own state wants. And now that's
Yeah.
20 to 30% of your income that you didn't plan on giving to anyone.
Yeah.
And now you have to ask for a loan. I've seen that happen where you're going to ask for some type of IRS type payment plan, which and then you start using your credit card on top. Oh God, it's so painful. So all that to say, actually, taxes are budget related.
Yeah.
You should make sure you're ready to pay Uncle Sam,
Yeah.
assuming you're a U.S. citizen, which I would imagine
Talk about
99% of people are that
talk
listen to
about a
this.
boss you do not want to have to face, the IRS, because they can actually garnish your wages, which means your money will go to them before it even goes to you. So making sure that you have the money to pay taxes is incredibly important. If you're a content creator, it's important to know if you make enough that you have to start paying quarterly taxes versus just once at the end of the year. Because if the IRS wants you to pay quarterly and you are paying annually, you're going to get hit with a bunch of penalties from the IRS. I had to figure that out myself. once my business started doing better and I was making enough money, the IRS was like, all right, well, you need to start paying estimated taxes. And because you didn't do that last year, here's a penalty you have to pay on top of that. So that was fun.
Oof.
But that's a mistake that I've made that I'm here to help you from making.
Learn from me. Don't copy
Yes.
me.
Yes. Don't do what I did.
Yeah. Oh boy, I've made those mistakes. I definitely am not a fan of the IRS. And if anyone asks, my name is Scruffy that made that comment. I believe that Romans loves the IRS. He's he just all he does is talk about how great you guys are. But yeah, my name's Scruffy, and I do not like the IRS. All right, so yeah, next, let's wrap this baby up.
Yep, that's it. So, Romans, where can we find you online?
This is great. You're only gonna find me in Discord at the Reach Discord. That's the only place I'll tell you to find me. I exist on other places, typical places that business people would be on. But I'm gonna tell you, if you want to find me in the Discord and let's play a game together. Where can they find you, Scruffy?
Yeah, so you can also find me in the Reach Discord. I'll be there. I'm also, you can probably find me on Marvel Rivals. I'm in the midst of trying to climb out of the low ranks after making the switch from console to PC. So I went from being in diamond lobbies to being in bronze lobbies again. So that's
Oof.
fun. Yeah, not a good time. But you can also find me at my website. I'll post a link to that in the show notes uh, along with my email. So I work for a company called Inspire Advisors. We're a financial advisory firm across the entire nation. We actually just got ranked as the number 3 financial advisory firm in America. So we're growing pretty rapidly, and we help people come at everything financial from a biblical perspective. So if that's something you're interested in, hop in the Reach Discord, ask some questions. Feel free to email me. I'd be happy to help however I can.
Cool. All right, and that wraps up today's episode of the DLC podcast, Dollars, Lifestyles, and Charity. Episode 1 is in the books. May the editors forever make us look amazing and awesome. We bumbled at least 10 times in today's episode, and I hope you enjoy it as much as we did. And one episode down, 10 more to go before we quit. Just kidding. Uh, Time will tell. See you guys on the next one.
Bye.